All right, guys, good morning. Today is Spirit Week and we're in Pajama Day Thursday. Now, it is already 9:30 in class, and I do want to get through your selection and comprehension assessments that you guys are going to be taking tomorrow. So what I'm going to do for the remainder of class is I'm just going to walk you guys through how you're going to be doing your breakout rooms on Thursdays. Starting next week, you guys are going to do breakout rooms on Thursdays with your digital trifolds. Okay, we tried it today. Some of your rooms did great. You guys all shared, but we want to get better at participating. I want you guys to get more comfortable talking to each other. A lot of times what you guys are doing in your breakout rooms is you'll share, you'll put your answer in, and then you'll stop sharing, and then someone else will go. That's fine for now, but that's not what I want it to be. I want to be able to go into your breakout room and I want to see you guys talking with each other, okay? Or at least whoever is sharing, I want them to be at least talking to you guys, kind of like what I do right now, okay? So I'm going to show you guys how you're going to do that. Now, all of you should now know how to go to your digital trifold. We just spent some time in GoGuardian showing you guys how to do that. You'll go to Google Classroom. You'll click on classwork. You'll scroll down to ELA and then look for the one that says Wonders ELA Digital Trifold Thursdays. You'll open that up and then it's going to take you here to the first page and you'll slide down, and then usually you can ask your partners and they'll tell you, okay, we're on slide 22. Now we're going to move on to slide 23 because the first one's just our title page. Now, what dangers did the sea turtle face? Give specific examples and page numbers. So let's say that I'm number one. Okay, so let's say that I'm Nathan. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen. All right. Okay, guys, what are some dangers? I don't really know. I'm sharing my screen, but can you guys help me? So Danica says, oh, well, why don't you open up your book? So Nathan gets his book out and then he looks and he's like, oh yeah, I remember on page 169, there's a car and it's going to like run over the turtle eggs. So I'm going to talk about that. So he's going to go back to his trifold and he's going to finish this. And it looks like this person spelled turtle wrong. So one danger that follows turtle is cars on the beach on page 169. Okay. Now he can copy that and say, okay, guys, I wrote it. I'll put it in the chat so you guys can copy my answer. Okay. All right. So I put it in the chat for you guys. So I'm Nathan and I'm telling you, I put it in the chat. Maybe I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. But he doesn't need to wait for you guys to copy it down. Why? Because you guys are all doing it in your digital trifold. Because you guys are doing it in your digital trifold, no one is writing this paper and pencil. Everyone's doing it online. So he can literally copy paste it. The way you do that is you can copy all the letters like that. You're going to double click like that. And then you're going to click the word copy. Okay. You can also click Command C or Control C, and then you're going to click the two letters like that again, and then click paste, and then paste it in your chat. Okay. So then Nathan's going to stop sharing. Okay. Who's next? Who's going to share next? Okay. It's Danica's turn. All right. Now Danica is sharing. How can people protect sea turtles? Right page numbers. I forgot. Oh, well, we can use that same one, right, guys? And then Nathan says, yeah, you're right, Danica. We can use the same one. What did people do? Well, I don't remember. Can we look at it again? Okay, let's see. Oh, yeah, that guy put up that sign. Okay, all right. So I'm going to write that down. All right. How can people protect sea turtles? On page 169, a boy puts up a sign saying, no cars on the beach. Now, if you guys want to write more, you can. If you want to, if it's not correct, like grammatically, that's fine. Okay, you guys are just working on it together. If you guys want to help each other out, that's totally fine too. So I just copied it, copy. And then I pasted in the chat. So I'm Danica. Okay, guys, I'm Danica. Yeah, I just copied my answer and I pasted it in the chat. So then now Nathan is going to go into the chat. He's going to copy her answer and he can paste it in his work. All right. Okay. Now Nathan has gone. Danica is gone. Danica is going to stop sharing her screen. Okay. Who's next? All right. We've got Sierra. All right, Sierra, you're going to answer the next one. Okay. Sierra's going to share her screen. Sierra says, okay, my question is, what happened first in the story? The first thing that happened in the story is, and now everyone can have different interpretations. Someone might say, well, this is at the beginning and there's like lots of dangers. And then someone else might say, well, technically the first thing that happens is that there's a baby, it's where the baby turtle story begins, and she's only an egg, and the mother is burying the eggs and laying her eggs in the sand. Or like, oh, well, I think the beginning of the story is that there's like raccoons and they start on the beach. So Sierra, because it's her turn, even though Danica might say, well, I think you should write this, or Nathan says, I think you should write this. Ultimately, because Sierra is sharing her screen, she's going to say, well, I'm going to say that the turtle's mom lays her eggs on the beach. So the first thing that happened in the story is a mommy turtle lays her eggs on the beach. And then what am I going to do? I'm going to click all of it. I'm going to click copy. I'm also going to make it bigger so you guys can read it. And then I'm going to put it in the chat. And then I'm going to click paste. Okay. All right. Next, what happened next in the story? Thank you so much. Okay. What happened next in the story? Now, you guys can give a specific detail. That's fine. So now let's say that it's Joelle's turn. So now Danica's going to stop sharing, or Sierra's going to stop sharing her screen. And then it's Joelle's now. Okay, Joelle's is sharing his screen. And he said, okay, well, what happens next in the story? Now, let's say Sierra says, well, I think that you should say that what happens next is that the turtles start crawling to the water. And then Nathan says, well, I think you should talk about the fish and how there was like a jellyfish that or a plastic bag that looked like a jellyfish. And then Danica says, well, I think you should talk about the sharks, because that was kind of in the middle of the story. Or I think you should talk about this. And then he's getting all of these ideas. Well, technically, Joelle's is sharing a screen, so he can choose which one he wants to do. So he's going to say next, what happens next in the story? Next, turtle faces a lot of dangers trying to survive. Now, if Joelle's wanted to, and he wanted to describe some of those dangers, he could. He could talk about the shark. He could talk about the net. He could talk about the fish. He could talk about the raccoons. He could talk about the light from the house. So what is he going to do? He's going to copy this, and then he's going to paste it in the chat. And then now Joelle's is done. And then he's going to stop sharing his screen. Now, let's say you only have 4 people in your group, then it's just going to go back to the first person. However, if there's another person, so let's say that the next person is Kendall. Okay, so Joelle's is going to stop sharing his screen, and then now Kendall's going to share her screen. Okay, now Kendall's sharing her screen, and she says, okay, what happened last in the story? And then everyone's giving her, she's like, okay, well, I want to hear your guys' ideas. Can you guys help me? So Kendall's going to keep sharing her screen, but you guys are able to unmute and help her out and say, okay, well, I think that the last thing is going to be whatever was on the last page. Oh, okay, so this is the last page. So then let's see. You know what, guys? I kind of want to reread it. Is that okay with everybody? Okay, it's right. Okay, let's go ahead and read it together, guys.
Thud. Her heavy body hits the hard shore. It is the same beach where she hatched. But now things are different. Now she is a mother turtle, about to lay her eggs. One day those eggs will hatch. The tiny turtles will begin their journeys, scrambling across the sand. And some will make it with a little luck and fast-moving flippers and the help of many hands.
Oh, okay, I remember. So then Kendall is going to say, oh yeah, she's now a mother turtle and she's going to lay her eggs now. So what happened last in the story? I'm going to write last the turtle becomes a mom and lays her own eggs. So remember, at the beginning of the story, at the beginning of the story, she's a baby. She's only an egg. At the beginning, she faces a lot of different challenges, a lot of dangers. And at the end, she is now no longer a baby. She is now a mommy, and she's laying her own eggs on that same beach that she was born on. Okay. Now, after everyone has shared, everyone has gone, you guys are going to copy and paste it and put it in the chat. Then we're going to move on to the next page. It's okay if not everyone finished, because your answers are going to remain in the chat. And even when you go back into our regular room after your breakout room, those answers will still remain in the chat. Now, let's just say you guys don't finish. Like today, some of you guys did not finish. Technically, a lot of your, some of your groups finished this. So awesome. If your answers are different than mine, that's totally fine. So normally what we're going to do is after the breakout rooms, I'll bring you guys back. Probably next week, we'll just go through the first page again, just like today. And then I'm going to ask you guys, okay, how did it go? Did everyone participate? Was everybody unmuting? Was everyone helping each other? Were you guys working together? If people were not working together, they will lose dojo points. And then I'm going to go over the answers. So if your group doesn't finish, that's okay. We'll go over the answers in class together. Now, what if you chose a different answer than me? Like, Miss Park, in our breakout room, we actually talked about the raccoons, or we actually talked about one of the dangers being the sharks. That's okay. That answer is still correct. I'm just going to give you guys examples that you guys can follow. All right. Now, let's say that you are still in your breakout room and I have not finished, or I've not called you guys back. You guys can do the next ones. So depending on how you guys want to do it, you guys can say, okay, well, does everyone still want to share their screens, or do you guys just want to help me? So let's say I am now Nicholas. And Nicholas says, okay, I'll share my screen. Do you guys want to just unmute and tell me the answers, or does everyone want to take a turn sharing their screen? And if everyone says, that's okay, you can keep sharing your screen and we'll just help you, then he'll do that. So he'll say, okay, these are common nouns and these are proper nouns. So common nouns are going to be a common name of whatever the proper noun is. So the proper noun here is Diary of a Wimpy Kid. And so what would be the common noun of it? That is a book. That would be a book. What about the ocean? What is a specific ocean? Oh, a specific ocean would be a Pacific Ocean. A proper noun is a specific place, person, or thing, and usually it'll be capitalized. Okay, what is the name of a specific boy? You could say Billy. All right, so I'm gonna now type those in the chat. Pacific Ocean, Billy, that book. And then we're going to do our vocabulary strategies. Rewrite the words using the correct suffix. So I'm going to ask my team, okay, guys, I'm not sure which one I should do. Okay, well, let's see. Jason says, well, full of cheer would be cheerful. Okay, you're right, Jason. Okay, thank you, Jason. And then Aaron says, full of pain would be painful. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Aaron. And then Alexander says, in an honest way, that would be Lee. So that would be honestly. Okay, thank you, Alexander. And then Angelica would say, in a sad way would be sadly. Perfect. Thank you, Angelica. And then let's say Billy says, oh, full of fright would be frightly. And then I'm like, okay, thank you. And then Ava says, oh, wait, Billy, it's actually not frightly. It says full of, so it should say full. So it should actually be frightful. Oh, well, I'm confused because I thought it was frightly. Okay, well, let's talk about it. Who thinks it's frightly? Who thinks it's frightful? Okay, we voted on it. Oh, yeah, you're right, Ava. Thanks, Ava, for catching that. It is actually not frightly. I'm going to delete that and I'm going to write frightful. And then the last one, Daniel says, in a perfect way would be perfectly. That's why we're in our breakout rooms. So if people do make mistakes, you guys can help each other out. You guys can discuss it. I should hear a lot of talking going on. If you're the one sharing your screen, you should be kind of talking through what you're writing. Think of it as like you're the teacher for that question and you're going to help your friends out. All right. So we're going to try breakout rooms again next week. And then hopefully we'll just keep getting better and better. All right. All right, guys, let's move on. What we're now going to do, for the sake of time, we only have about 10 minutes. I'm going to quickly go over your comprehension and selection test review. And then after that, we are going to move on and go to PE. And then after PE, we're going to do math. Now, after math today, you guys do have a history quiz. You guys do have read theory. And then I do want everyone to submit their art contest and read a book for 20 minutes. You can submit your art contest through Class Dojo. However, today, your What Should Miss Park Dress Up As on 10/29 is due. So since we don't have time right now to turn that in, I'm going to have all of you guys stay after math lesson, and you guys are going to do it then. Okay? All right. So let's go ahead, and this is what I'm going to do for your selection test. I am actually going to go through it rather quickly. All right, so what does the word buried mean? When you bury something, you cover it up. What does the word bury mean? You cover it up. So this is your selection test. All right, guys. The word journey means a trip. If you're going on a journey, you're going on a trip somewhere. What does the word peeks mean? If you peek at something, then you're looking quickly. You're looking quickly. So let's say you're playing hide and go seek and someone says to cover your eyes, and then you kind of go like this. They'll say, no peeking. Don't look quickly at and look at where we're going. Which word means catches sight of? If you catch sight of something, you're spying on something. Let's say that you're peeking and you see that your friend is hiding in the closet, then you would be spying. You're spying and seeing, and you're catching sight of where they're going. The word escape means to get away. If you're escaping, you're getting away. If you feel restless, you are always moving. You're restless. You can't just rest. You have no rest. Restless means opposite of rest. You're moving. You're always moving. You're always doing something. You're feeling restless. What does the word habitat mean? It's a place where animals live. A habitat is a place where animals live. And which of the following would you find in nature? Plants. You would find plants in nature. Like think of like a forest that's full of plants. Now this is going to be based off of the story Turtle, Turtle, Watch Out. Okay. For the sake of time, we are not going to reread it. However, you could reread the story on your own. Question number 1. How does a child help protect buried turtle eggs? They put a wire mesh around the nest. Remember, there were like animals trying to get at it. So they put this wire mesh around the nest so that animals can't dig up and eat the eggs. Number 2, after the hatchlings hatch, how long does it take for them to get to the surface of the sand? Now, if you do not remember, actually, let's see if it's still open. It takes them 3 days. It takes them 3 days. Let's see if I could find it. Okay. A day later, nudging and pushing, she and the other hatchlings dig toward the surface. They scramble, then rest. Scramble, then rest. Their upward journey takes 3 whole days just to get out of the sand. Because remember, the mom buries them deep in the sand so that they're safe. Because if she doesn't bury the eggs in the sand, they might wash away. People might step on them. Birds might see it and swoop into the mesh. So that's why it takes them 3 days. Turtle crawls toward the street because the brightest light is coming from that direction. Remember, it's coming from that house, which is across the street. How does the turtle get out of a shrimper's net? She slips through a hatch sewn onto the net made for turtles so they can escape. And then where does turtle go to lay her eggs? Back to the same beach where she hatched. All right, guys. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to go over our comprehension test. Now, I need to make sure that you guys are staying focused. You guys need to stay focused. Okay. I should not see you guys laying in bed right now. You should not be distracted. Okay, these are all the assessments that we actually go over in class and that you guys take on Fridays. So I need you guys to be focused So I know that you're going to do your very best on your test tomorrow. All right, so this is what I'm going to do. Because of the sake of time, and I want to get you guys to PE on time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly read through these two stories. I'm going to let you guys know the skills and strategies to use to find your answers, and then we're going to go to PE. Okay. So if you guys want to review these assessments, you guys are allowed to, because these will be on YouTube for you to reread. Okay, what did I say about putting links in the chat? We are not doing that anymore, okay? All right, let's go ahead and read Life in a Giant Kelp Forest. Did you know a forest grows under the sea? It is not a forest of trees, it is a forest of seaweed. The seaweed is called a giant kelp. A giant kelp forest is home to many animals. A giant kelp forest is a wonderful habitat. Animals can get get away from the rough ocean. They can hide in the kelp and find food there. They can come to lay eggs and have babies. Giant kelp plants look a bit like trees. They stand tall in the water and rock softly back and forth. Giant kelp may grow more than 100 feet tall. They never stop growing. A giant kelp has three main parts. The biggest part is the blade. The blade is wide and flat like a leaf. One plant has many blades. Blades grow along the stipe. The stipe is like a stem. The third part of a giant kelp is the holdfast. It looks like roots. It holds the plant in place on the rocky bottom. And then here's what I'm talking about. So the blade is the largest, flattest part, then the stipe, and then the holdfast, and it holds the plant to the bottom. A kelp forest has a top, middle, and bottom. Different animals use different parts. At the top, giant kelp blades spread across the water. They make shady spots. Animals hide there. Big fish and sea otters swim there. Sharks do too. Sea lions and seals visit this part of the forest. So do birds and even whales. The middle of the kelp forest is deeper and darker. Schools of small fish dart through quickly. Graceful jellyfish and seahorses swim by. They look for tiny bits of food. Crabs and sea stars climb the kelp. Animals from the top dive down to visit. The bottom of the kelp forest is home to many tiny animals. Some have shells like crabs and lobsters. Some have soft bodies like eels. These animals hide in the holdfasts. They crawl on the rocks. From top to bottom, a giant kelp forest is a lively place. All right, let's look through the questions. Question number 1, there's 2 parts. What is the main topic of the article? So we know it's about a giant kelp forest, right? But what about it? That it has 3 parts, that it has a top, middle, and bottom, that it looks like a forest of trees, that it is home for many different animals. So what is this mostly about? Well, it talks about, did you know a forest grows under the sea? It is not a forest of trees. It is a forest of seaweed. The seaweed is called a giant kelp. A giant kelp forest is home to many animals. So even though it talks about the different parts, the top, middle, and the bottom, the main idea, the main topic is that it's home to many animals. We know that because not only does it talk about it in the story, but it also tells us that in the first paragraph, in the last sentence of it. That's the conclusion of our first paragraph. And it's telling us what the topic of the story is going to be about. It's going to be about that this forest is a home for many animals. How do we know that? Because it says so right there. Different, and it says here, this is the only one that talks about the animals. Which article best states the main topic? Different animals use different parts. That's the only one of those 3 choices that talk about the animals and how it's home to all of those different animals. Okay, number 2 is about our use of suffixes, which is our vocabulary strategy. So the softly would mean in a soft way. However, there is nothing that says soft, but it does say gentle, which is the same word. It's a synonym for soft. So instead of in a soft way, you would say in a gentle way. Number 3, why is a giant kelp forest a safe place for animals? You need to pick 2 choices. How many choices do you pick? 2 choices. So one place, remember it talks about it. Your strategy and skill you can use is to reread. If you reread, you would say it is an easy place to hide and animals can get away from the rough ocean. Those are all things you can go back and reread. The next one is again going to be on suffixes. The word grace means beauty. So what does grace full mean? Full of beauty. C. And then the last one, and then we're going to move on. I know it's 9:53. We have a few minutes. I am going to go past a little bit into PE, but I want to go through the answers for this. So keep staying with me, guys, okay? Number 5, tell which types of animals live in each part. Okay, well, what you guys can do is you can reread. So what was in the top part of the kelp forest? Okay, so let's see. The top part, at the top, giant kelp blades split across the water. They make shady spots. Animals hide there. Big fish and sea otters, sharks, sea lions, and seals. So do birds and even whales. So what were some on the top? We got whales and we've got sea otters. So in the top, you would say whales and sea otters because you have to choose from the 6 here. Okay, what would you see in the middle? So let's go back and reread. The middle is deeper or darker, small fish, graceful jellyfish and seahorse, crabs and sea stars. So what would you say? You would say jellyfish and sea stars. And then what happens, what is there in the bottom? So reread. The bottom has tiny animals like shells. Some have shells like crabs and lobsters. Some have soft bodies like eels. And then that's it. So we have crabs, lobsters, and eels, and perfect. That's going to be our last ones. Lobsters and eels will live in the bottom. All right. All right, guys, I know it's 9:55. Let's go ahead and quickly finish the second story. A backyard home for wildlife. Do you like to watch animals outside your window? Make your yard a place animals want to visit? You do not need a big space. You just need to know what makes a truly good habitat. Then you and your parents need to make some careful plans for your yard. First, animals need food. You may have trees that have nuts and berries. Birds and squirrels like them. You can grow flowers. Bees and butterflies like them. You can also put out food for animals. You can buy seeds and nuts. You can put out fruit or bread. You can even put out dog food. Put the food in feeders. Spread some on the ground too. Second, animals need water. They drink water. They take baths in water. Many insects lay eggs in water. Some people build small ponds in their yard. You do not need to be that fancy. You can buy a bird bath. You can even fill a trash can lid with water. Just set it on the ground. Change the water a few times a week. That will keep it from getting dirty. Soon you will see birds, squirrels, and even bugs come to drink. Third, animals need hiding places. They need to be safe from bad weather. They need to hide from people or other animals when they get scared. Bushes and trees are a good place to hide. Tall grasses are too. You can make other hiding places. You can loosely pile twigs, leaves, and branches. Rabbits, and chipmunks can hide in the pile. You can make rock piles too. You can even turn a flower pot upside down to make a house for a toad. Tip it up so the toad can get in. Fourth, animals need homes for their babies. They need a safe place to build nests. They need a safe place to lay eggs. Birds make their nests in trees and bushes. Rabbits nest in tall grass. Other animals hide their nest under leaves and fallen branches. You can build or buy homes for backyard animals. These could be bird houses or bat houses. These are all good ways to make your yard a home for animals. Soon you will see animals running around. You will hear cheerful bird songs. You will have fun watching wild animals out your window. Okay, I'm going to quickly go over the answers, all right? What is the main topic of a backyard home for wildlife? It's all about how to help animals in your own backyard And how do you do that? You make a yard a place that animals want to visit. Okay, number 7, careful means full of care. Careful means full of care. Which animals like flowers for food? You can use the strategy reread. And if you were to reread, you would see that it was the bee and the butterfly. Question 9, loosely means in a way that is not tight. In a way that is not tight. If it's loose, then it's not tight. And then which word uses the suffix "ly" as it is used in loosely? Even though they all end with "ly", the only one that makes sense is slowly. This is not tally. This is tally, which is like a tally mark. You're counting things. So the only one that uses "ly" as the suffix would be slowly, in a slow way. And then the last one, what you're doing is you're circling the paragraph that details how a bird can lay eggs inside a birdhouse. That's going to be this one that says 4th. How do you know? Because it talks about a safe place to build eggs. They need a safe place to lay eggs. So what you would do is you would circle the entire paragraph. You're circling or highlighting the entire paragraph because that's what the instructions say. All right. All right, guys, that is it.